Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that touches the lives of literally millions of people, but honestly, it's still so incredibly misunderstood. We're talking about those profound, sometimes completely overwhelming shifts in mood that can happen alongside the menstrual cycle. If you've ever felt like your brain is just on an absolute roller coaster during certain times of the month, well, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're going to decode that entire experience using a pretty groundbreaking new scientific framework. So, let's just get right to the big question right away. Are these mood swings all in your head? The answer is a resounding 100% no. The science we're unpacking today proves that severe hormone sensitivities are a very real biological brain response. It's not a lack of willpower, and you're for sure not imagining it. This is a real physiological reaction happening deep within your neural pathways. All right, here's the quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the mental health mystery, then introduce a new map called the -MC framework. Then we'll walk through 3 specific danger zones chronologically: the post-ovulation irritability surge, the pre-period depression drop, and the ovulation reward rush. Finally, we'll talk about what this means for the future of precision psychiatry. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the mental health mystery. Okay, so first things first, it really helps to understand the specific kind of distress we're talking about here, because people get these 2 categories mixed up all the time. First up is PMDD, or premenstrual dysphoric disorder. This is when severe emotional symptoms are triggered strictly by the cycle. So they come and go with the hormonal tide, affecting roughly 5 to 8% of cycling individuals. Then on the flip side, we have PME, or premenstrual exacerbation. This is when the cycle acts like a massive multiplier, basically taking an existing underlying condition, like depression or anxiety, and making it significantly worse. So while they're definitely different, both of these represent a really profound sensitivity to biological shifts. And that brings us to the core concept here, hormone sensitivity. I want you to think of your hormones, estrogen and progesterone, like the weather, right? They naturally rise and fall over the course of a month. Now, for most people, the brain has good insulation against these shifting weather patterns. But for a significant minority, that insulation just isn't there. And here's the really absolutely crucial thing to understand. Your hormone levels themselves are totally normal. It's just your brain's unique, heightened sensitivity to those totally normal changes that's causing all the turbulence. Moving right along to Section 2, a new map called -MC. Until pretty recently, science actually didn't have a clear way to track these reactions. But now we have the -MC framework. And hey, don't sweat the long scientific name, just focus on the curves. Basically, what this research maps out is that there isn't just one generic PMS phase. Different hormonal events, like a sudden peak in progesterone or a drop in estrogen, actually trigger entirely different, highly specific emotional reactions if you have that sensitive brain we just talked about. So, to keep things super simple today, we're going to follow a chronological timeline of a typical cycle. We're going to hit 3 key stops: what happens right after ovulation, what happens in the days right before the period starts, and then we're actually going to loop back around to the most surprising trigger of all, which is the exact moment of ovulation itself. All right, let's step into our first danger zone, Section 3, post-ovulation, or what we're calling the irritability surge. So, shortly after an egg is released, your progesterone levels spike. And for sensitive brains, this can trigger what scientists call high arousal symptoms. We are talking intense anger, sudden irritability, picking fights. It can even manifest as misophonia. You know when everyday sounds like someone chewing gum suddenly make you want to scream? Yeah, that. It also causes reactive aggression, meaning you just feel easily provoked by the entire world around you. Your brain is basically completely overstimulated. Now, why in the world does this happen? Well, research shows this isn't random at all. It's actually a time-delayed adverse reaction in the brain to that massive surge of progesterone, more specifically to a byproduct of it. In a typical brain, this chemical acts like a calming sedative. It chills you out. But in a hormone-sensitive brain, the receptors react backwards. So instead of calming you down, that surge literally flips a switch that drastically cranks up your agitation and tension. Crazy, right? As we keep moving down our timeline, the emotional weather takes a massive turn. This is Section 4, the pre-period depression drop. Look at how dramatic this shift is. Just a few days earlier, post-ovulation, your brain was in that angry, irritated, high arousal state, all driven by surging progesterone. But as we get right up close to the actual period, hormone levels basically crash, and this triggers a low arousal state. All that angry energy vanishes and gets replaced by profound sadness, heavy brain fog, and anhedonia, which is just a fancy way of saying a total inability to feel joy. You're just totally exhausted. It's a completely different biological mechanism happening, just days apart from the last one.
The real culprit here is falling estrogen. You can think of estrogen as almost like fertilizer or fuel for the brain. It naturally boosts dopamine and serotonin, it helps you focus, remember things, and generally feel happy. So when those estrogen levels suddenly plummet right before the period starts, it essentially starves your brain's reward and concentration centers. It unplugs them. And that is exactly why sensitive folks feel like this heavy, depressive fog has just rolled in out of nowhere.
Now we're going to pivot to section 5. And honestly, this might be the most surprising part of this whole explainer, the ovulation reward rush. I mean, most people just assume ovulation is a completely harmless, maybe even positive phase of the cycle, right? Well, for some, it actually harbors these hidden psychological risks. Researchers noticed something fascinating. Spikes in binge drinking were directly tied to day-to-day surges in estrogen around the time of ovulation. During this little window, estrogen spikes massively. And for some people, that massive spike essentially supercharges the brain's reward centers, which ends up triggering some pretty impulsive, thrill-seeking behaviors. To put that into perspective, look at this number. 2 times. One study actually found that the disinhibiting effect of alcohol, how quickly it lowers your guard, increases nearly 2-fold during this specific high estrogen window of ovulation. The brain is just getting flooded with so much dopamine-boosting estrogen that it's actively out there hunting for more rewards, which makes it incredibly difficult to pump the brakes on impulsive urges. So to wrap up this fascinating little phase, the ovulation rush looks completely different from our other 2 danger zones. It's characterized by increased impulsivity, binge drinking, risky behavior, and proactive aggression, meaning you're acting out to get a reward rather than just defending yourself. Unlike the sadness of the pre-period drop we just talked about, this zone is all about the brain desperately chasing a high because it's just oversensitized to that estrogen spike. Okay, we've covered a ton of complex biology today. So what does this actually mean for us moving forward? Let's get into section 6, the future of precision psychiatry. This -MC framework is an absolute game changer. It means doctors can finally move past those old one-size-fits-all treatments. If someone is struggling, we don't have to just guess with a generic medication anymore. By charting exactly when the symptoms happen, we can zero right in on the specific danger zone. Are they reacting to the progesterone surge, the estrogen drop, or the ovulation spike? Once we know that, we can use precision medicine, therapies targeted directly at the specific biological trigger causing the problem. It's all about empowering you with the exact knowledge of how your own mind works so you can finally take control of your well-being. So I want to leave you with a final thought today. What if we finally treated the menstrual cycle as a vital sign for mental health? I mean, for way too long, cyclical mood shifts have just been dismissed or completely generalized. But as we've seen today, when we use clear science to decode the timeline of the mind, we find a very precise biological reality. By understanding our own unique hormone sensitivities, we really do hold the keys to better treatment, a lot more compassion, and true mental well-being. Thank you so much for hanging out and unpacking this explainer with me today. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.